Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Professional Perspectives with Vicky and Anita. And today, our guest, Ramakrishna, I'm going to introduce him. He is such a well-rounded educator. So it's my pleasure to introduce him. He has been a teacher, a trainer, an assessor, a developer, and he and I first met actually through LinkedIn. He sent me a message because his daughter was one of my students when I was there in Vishakhapatnam. And so it was really nice of him to contact me and compliment me. And then I went to his LinkedIn page and learned all about him and was so impressed. I knew we had to, because we have so many aspiring educators with us and teachers also who I know are going to learn from him. So especially in the area of learning resources, I think that he will be a great asset. And that is really what led me to inviting him to be one of our guests. His latest accomplishment, School Crop, we're very eager to learn more about. It's very intriguing, and we're going to ask him, questions about that. So I know that he's going to be an inspiration to many of us. And I know this is, I think, one of the first times that we've had an educator. Is it, Anita, do you think?
In a way.
Yes. So in a way, we've had some others, certainly, who have aspired to be in education. And so we welcome you, sir, to our platform. And I'm going to start with just the first question because we always like to know, in the early days, sir, what inspired you? What led you to get into education? There were so many perhaps job opportunities, but you chose education. Could you tell us what inspired you? What influenced you to get into education?
Yeah, I think it is basically genetic, something, a quality that was inherited from my father. Because in my formative years, like any child, it was my father who was the biggest influence on me. And whenever I saw him, the glimpse I still remember is he was either reading a book or having a discussion with a peer group. That is how I saw him, and that is how I grew up. Maybe that was the biggest influence, and to this day, honestly, I'm not good at the art of small talk. If I have to speak, it may be about language or literature or history or philosophy or math or computers or anything. But if there is something academic, I can speak. Otherwise, I don't become active in a conversation. So because of this quality, I think by default, I had to be a teacher, because teaching is the only occupation which fulfills this basic requirement of me. All the time, I must be either reading books or having a discourse with someone. And since teaching is the only avenue which offers this possibility, perhaps that was the reason I became a teacher, and I stuck to it. Yeah.
Okay, so that was what you did first, was teaching, but now obviously you are teaching teachers as well as students. Could you tell us a little bit about your current position?
Currently, I'm working for a startup called School Crop. I am the co-founder of this. And in this, the goal is particularly keeping in view the K-12 segment of Indian budget school framework, developing resources that can optimize the classroom experience and make it more effective and productive. Towards that, regarding the interaction that happens between that is supposed to happen between teachers and students in a classroom. What resources can best boost that? The development of such resources is what I am working towards right now.
What sort of resources?
Yeah, because Basically, my experience tells me children in classrooms, what are the things that really interest them? When I think of it, only two things come to my mind. I mean, out of my experience, what I felt is for something to be interesting, it must be either in a storytelling format and along with a visual experience, preferably along with an illustration. Or the other alternative, the other option is something like a game. Unless it is a story or a game, the school kids would not really take an interest in it. That is what I felt all the way. So visual resources for use in classroom, which will convert everything into either a story or a game. That is the objective.
And what is it really that is required for you to input so that it comes out and benefits the students?
Yeah, what we do is we look at the curriculum framework. What are the topics that are required to be covered for various grades? So we identify individual episodes, and on each of them, we create a narrative. The narrative includes the description in a storytelling format, along with the visuals that will make the impact complete.
Wow.
How do teachers obtain these resources?
Of course, we are right now, it is in the process of development, and in the second week of March, we are about to launch a pilot in 5 schools in Hyderabad of India. So that will tell us what else needs to be done in this entire setting. And we are done with the development of resources for grade 10 right now. So for all subjects, for languages, math, sciences, and social studies, geography, history, and politics and economics. These are the things we are already done with. And with these things, we are launching a pilot for grade 10 students in 5 schools in starting from March 2nd week. And thereafter, it has to be continued. In the next 12 months, we hope to be done with the other grades also. K to 12, that is the segment we target.
So this would be academic subjects only?
Entirely academic, because keeping in mind, I mean, it is not just learning for learning's sake. Of course, learning and excitement, this is very much a part of it. But more than that, they have a need called board exams and certifications, and for that also, this should suffice.
Right. Yes. There's also the specification by the NEP about including social emotional curriculum into the academic, weave it into the academic curriculum. Is that something you're planning to consider as well?
Yes, yes. Of course, this this new education policy 2020, I think it doesn't make any radical changes. I mean, in terms of concept and in terms of curriculum, it doesn't make any radical changes. Only there are technical changes like how the certification is done, how the exam format is revised. Only in terms of these things, there is a difference, but otherwise the curriculum remains same. In math or science, in physics or chemistry, we are not, it is in chemistry, it is going to be the same atomic structure and same chemical bonding and the same periodic classification, which the students will be required to learn and master.
Wow.
So when it comes to the content, there is not much change. It's only what you call the processes might change, but not the concept itself.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So let me, if I could get a little bit personal about teachers a little bit, because I hear from time to time that teaching is not often the first choice of people's career choices, but if they can't get into something else, well, then they decide they'll teach. So could you talk to us a little bit about what you hope, how you hope to inspire teachers, and how your resources will in fact
Yeah.
give them more of what they need to be the teacher that they're
Yeah.
intended to be.
Yeah. And because I was born in India, and all my life I've been in India. And I've never been to any other country. So what I'm familiar with is the typical Indian, especially the middle class Indian schooling situation. And within this, as you said, one thing is the cream, the best of the students, I mean, in terms of IQ, the best of the lot always goes into professional careers like engineering or medicine or research. They go into these areas. And it is often remarked like a joke in the Indian context that only someone who is fit for nothing else becomes a teacher. That is how they put it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, it is, though it is unfair to say that, but since that is how the reality is, at least in most rural parts of India. India is a vast country with 1.4 billion population. Is not a small thing, and with we have about 30 crore Indian students right now in up to grade 10. I mean, the numbers up to grade 10, there are uh, um, yeah, 300 million. That is the number of students in schools here. And I don't think it's the biggest challenge. Being able to find the right teachers for all these millions is a very big challenge, really. And we don't have any solution in the visible horizon as yet. But we have to see. But the determination from the side of government is also like education and health are two sectors which are regarded as unprofitable. So the attention paid by these paid to these sectors by the government is also limited. There are multiple issues actually, though that means most of them are not in our controllables. That's the problem. But I thought even a mediocre teacher, like for example, I know teachers who teach physics and chemistry in schools who just read out text from the books and try to explain line by line, which is of course very ridiculous way of teaching physics or chemistry. But that is how it happens because their qualification or experience or expertise, everything is limited. And even their remuneration is so pathetic. So in these circumstances, I thought this was part of the idea behind School Crop. If we can provide resources which can help even a mediocre teacher to do better in a classroom, provided there is the required infrastructure also. I thought that would be one solution to this problem. In a limited way, I thought we would be able to solve this problem by these resources. It was part of the intention. And it could also make room for independent and self-paced learning in for Indian students, especially in the rural segment. And we are not trying to eliminate the role of teacher, but we are trying to help him with supplements and to reduce his load, to make things easier for a teacher and student as well. This is the intention. I think something like this is required in our schools. This is from my own first-hand experience of what I've been through, because it was in 1993 that I first became a full-time teacher. So it is the 30th year of my teaching career. So I thought this would work, and I hope this works.
If you could change anything in the B.Ed or M.Ed courses, those people who are studying to be a teacher, if you could change anything in their curriculum, what would it be? I know that question was not on your list of questions.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't know. I'm guilty to tell you this, but I don't have a B.Ed or M.Ed qualification. I've been a teacher, but I've never got these degrees. And I have always thought anyone who makes a good parent can also be a good teacher. Not only in teaching, in any other job or assignment or profession, two things that always appear to be most important to me in my perception are transparency and accountability. If these two things can be inculcated in the minds of people who aspires to do anything, no other training or no other arrangement is required. That is what I feel. But unfortunately, right from politicians up to teachers or anyone, somehow I have this feeling that these two are missing in the system: transparency and accountability. And in the
Can you talk
absence
to
of
us a little bit more? Yeah, talk to us a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah.
Transparency and accountability. That's very interesting.
Yeah, because when a teacher goes to the classroom, if he feels accountable, I think no other arrangement is required to make him do well. But unless the feeling comes from within, how do we force this externally? I have come here with a purpose. Every minute is valuable. Every student is valuable. And what you are dealing with people, not materials. So you are dealing with their future. You are dealing with an entire generation. Unless the teacher is aware of this, the curriculum in B.Ed or M.Ed itself, will it ever be able to make good teachers? I'm not sure of it. So more than the curriculum itself, I think the curriculum which is already there, a lot of research has gone into it, and people who are much taller than me prepared all those things. But idea itself doesn't change life. It is the execution of an idea, how you implement it, how you put it into practice. That is what matters. And this is where the shortcoming lies, in my feeling.
Ah, Anita?
Which means a sense of ownership to be taken on by each teacher
A sense of ownership.
of whatever they are delivering, what they are required to. So accountability effectively stretches into a sense of ownership. So they take, okay, this is me giving it. This is my, let's say,
Yeah.
work, not just work, but it's as if it is, I'm the one who's giving it out.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Ah,
And you must have also gone through a lot of ups and downs. Like you say that you had an exemplary person in front of you and you saw, and that's how you went into the field. How did you want to really put it into practice? What were the steps you took? Maybe you found difficulty in certain things. This is something that we'd like to know, and especially for the students, because when they plan their career,
You mean when I stood in front of students as a teacher in a classroom myself, how I planned it or how I did that?
yes.
I think I was motivated by selfishness. Like when I went to a class, I think all these ideas, I do not know, I'm not sure, but the books I read in my college years, like the philosophy of Aurobindo, of Rabindranath Tagore, these are Indian icons, and Henry David Thoreau, that was a very big influence on me.
Yeah.
American philosopher, and Rousseau and his book Emily, and G2 Krishnamurti. The philosophy of these, the writings and the talks of these people, I think they had an impact on me. And when I went to a class, I had one goal. They should remember me after 20 years. That was the goal. So, but this selfish urge that I should make a distinction. That means they may have many teachers in their school years, but I should stand out. That was the only urge that I tried to, that made me do things differently, or at least try to do things differently. Yeah.
Wow. Any difficulties that came to you along the way?
Yeah. As I said, I enjoy teaching because it involves a lot of academic discussion, and which is my biggest, which is my greatest, most exciting pastime inherited from my father. But at the same time, there are a lot of technicalities. The students take board exams, and I'm also accountable for their performance, those grades, ranks, numbers, the competition, the rat race. And when I have to deal with these things, I used to feel uncomfortable, but there is no other way. I can't have the cake and eat it too. So when I had to cope with these things, it was stressful, really.
Yeah.
Mm.
Because
The examination system itself is not foolproof.
yes.
And I have to prepare them for things that don't really exist, that don't really matter. So sometimes I was doing things which were not really of any use in their life, which are that means activities that are not really constructive, but they have to be done just because they have an exam, and I have to follow up that. That was really a part of teaching which I didn't really enjoy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, teaching to the test, we used to say. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, teaching for the sake of judgment. I thought because I have always felt learning is its own reward, and why should we try to quantify learning? Trying to quantify learning looks like it appears very stupid to me, but that is how the world functions, and it is again one of not my controllables.
So, of course, since you are in the teaching profession and language matters, would you like to throw some light on that? What is the role of language in?
Of course, yeah, language does matter, because if I were a pharmacist or a firefighter or a farmer, it would be different, where I deal with materials, and here I deal with people, and that means whatever I create or whatever impact I have to bring about, that is entirely based on communication. And this thing called communication has 3 stages, I believe. What I think of something in my mind, that is phase 1, and how I translate this idea into words, that is stage 2, and in the final phase, the receiver, he understands something out of it. So this whole process, unless it is done effectively, the original idea which is meant to be carried and the final idea which the receiver perceives, they might be completely different, or how close they are, it depends on the effectiveness of communication. So as a teacher, it's all the more required. Communication is the almost the lifeline of a teacher's job.
Yeah, almost like a dumb charades and
Yes.
Chinese whispers combined together.
Yeah, I heard somewhere teaching is 1/4 information and 3/4 theatrics. So a lot of theatrics are also required because to engage children, I have to be playing with them, I have to be, there must be fun. So for all this, I have to incorporate these things into teaching, and yes, it requires communication and theatrics, a lot of.
So I found it interesting that you said you didn't actually take education courses, a B.Ed or M.Ed. What were the most important courses in education that you yourself received that helped you to get where you are today, 30 years later? What was most inspiring and beneficial for your studies?
My studies?
To get where you are today?
Yeah. I think it was more of a belief system than a formal training, which resulted in putting me where I am right now. So I thought raising children to be problem solvers, that is what the world needs.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is, in this process of raising them, can we do it with minimum conditioning? This was the second thing. So in the name of curriculum framework, or in the name of examinations, grades, and in the name of competition, everywhere, if we put some kind of pressure and targets to be fulfilled to the students, will they really be able to focus on what they are learning? This is one of the questions I have always had. So, eliminating conditioning altogether, or at least minimizing it, that was what I was looking for. But I think the current system, that is not how it functions.
Mm.
So I was looking for it. I mean, I have seen a few schools like this, like in India, in several places, including in Andhra Pradesh, there is a Rishi Valley School, which is run by Jiddu Krishnamurti Foundation, which more or less runs on similar lines without exams.
Mhm.
So these were the sources of inspiration. And that was maybe because my father gave me that freedom. I never had any conditioning. Of course, this lack of conditioning can result in making people chaotic, and it can lead to disorder. That is also possible. But if we can balance that, I mean, children are like any child. When he is born, he is like a blank paper. Whatever is written on this blank paper is by the people around him, or the environment, or the surroundings. That is how things are printed on this blank sheet for a newborn child. And he needs to learn to validate these things. But independence has to be encouraged. Wherever just accepting whatever is, I mean, in the name of education or religion, any kind of imposing things, that defeats the purpose of what education actually tries to. I mean, we have things like math, subjects like math and science. The goal is to develop rationality. And we are also, I mean, these things are going hand in hand with things that kill rationality. This is the problem.
Yeah. If you were to guide students, we have plenty of students here today, and in terms of planning their career,
Yeah.
what is it that you would say to the students, how they can say maybe plan, or anything that they need to keep in mind so that it'll help them plan better?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you the same things which I tell my daughter all the time. So the same things I'm sharing with your students also. I don't really think there is anything like planning and strategizing one's career.
Mhm.
I feel it happens on the foundations of one's awareness, or what you call the process of self-discovery.
Right.
And so in this process of self-discovery, as we just said, when we are born, we are parasites. And when we are born, we are blank sheets. But eventually, we grow up to be independent and original. So when we get this personality of our originality, when we develop this quality, I think that's when we start discovering one's true self, and that is when you start seeing your career in your dreams. And I feel it is very important that, once again, I am referring to the Indian typical middle class setting. What happens here is a student's career is dictated or decided by parents or teachers or peers or peer pressure. That is how it happens. And so they need to make sure uh, it is decided by them, and it happens on the basis of their self-discovery.
Mm. Wow.
Yes, I really like that, because the last couple of leadership books that I've read, it says
Yeah.
you have to know yourself before you can lead other people.
Yeah.
And I hear you saying also that they have to know themselves well in order to know where they're headed.
Yeah. Because there was a time when I was in my early 20s, there were some occasions when I felt bad. Many of my friends settled in the US, because in Indian standards, settling in the US is the biggest achievement in life. So there were times when I felt bad, I could not make it. But later I found out I'm not cut out for that, and I'm better off here. It takes time to discover the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, to discover my truth. This thing called truth varies from individual to individual. In case of my truth, I received what is best for me.
Wow.
Yes.
What should a student do when they get confused in between, when they are actually progressing?
When they are confused.
Yes,
What
when they are
Concerning their career, right, Anita?
Yeah. What kind of confusion? Like,
so in terms of, for example, like your daughter is lucky to have you as a mentor.
Mm.
Sometimes we find it difficult. Like, for example, I had a lot of difficulty when I wanted to step forth. I was confused whether I should choose this subject over another subject. And I knew myself and I felt I am very happy with working with both, but I didn't have a choice. I mean, I had to make a choice. I had to choose one. So
okay.
what can we do in that case?
Okay. So what you are telling me is about a certain course in which you want to enroll, right?
Yes.
And at the end of it, you get a certification for that.
Correct.
That is fine. And so there are two subjects you like. And in order to pursue a subject, is it necessary to have a degree in that? That is what I...
Yes.
Mm.
So it was at the degree level I was.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter in which course you graduate or
Ah,
which program you enroll, because you are
That's
always
right.
free to pursue whatever you want. Because during the time of this COVID lockdown, that is when I picked up a little HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Because as a teacher, I needed to provide online practice materials to my students at the time, and I was forced to learn these things. So you always have the freedom to pursue whatever you want, and whether you have a degree in it or not, or a certification in it or not, it doesn't matter. That is what I feel.
Well, I just want to actually concur. Well, my son graduated from college in 2019. And when he started interviewing, he said, Mom, it doesn't matter what your degree's in. It matters that you have a degree, though. It did matter that he had a degree, or he wouldn't have gotten even some of the interviews.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. That's,
Yes,
different
having
than...
a degree is just a ritual.
yes.
Because in many cases, your qualification and what you do, in case of Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or some other Zuckerberg or anyone, or Steve Jobs, what they did, I mean, what they studied, what they were certified in, and what the impact which they created on the world, there was not necessarily a correlation between them always. I thought they are driven by some other internal forces which are more important than the external degrees.
Yes, of course. And then you learn on the job.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Could you talk to us about regrets? Not regrets necessarily, just things that you wish you had not done, but things that you wish you had done. Do you have any regrets about things that you wish you had done or that you did that you wish you hadn't done in the past? Any regrets?
Yeah, regrets in the sense, I'm not sure if I should call it a regret, but I should share this. Just now I was saying the students, I mean, as for my what I suggest to the students, they must try to be original. That is the final goal. In the same way, I mean, there is, I once tried to put on a mantle which is not me, which is not my real self. I tried to become a businessman. And of course, I got a massive jolt, and I came out of it. Once again, I found out I was meant to be an academician and not a businessman. But I don't think it should be a regret, because it was a very good lesson, useful to me for the rest of life. So in that sense, but some time was wasted in the process of this discovery. That was a big regret. I mean, never put on a mantle which is not you. It is a silly affectation, because sometimes we fall in this trap. We see someone and we try to imitate him. Having models is okay, but without knowing what material we are, if we try to blindly copy someone or put on a mantle which is not our real self, that ends up in misery. That was my experience. So that was one regret. Yeah.
Yeah, fab. That's so useful.
Yes. Yes. I hope all of the students wrote that down. I wrote it down.
Because my aptitude, my orientation, my inclinations, these things always matter.
What about passion?
Passion in the sense.
Passion in the sense of you said don't put on a mantle that's not you, but do you think that it's wise to, if you feel passionate about something when you're young, follow it, or
yeah, this follow your heart or follow your passion is I think it is a overused expression.
I think so.
But there is one problem with this. Passion is fine, but at the same time, we must also think of, is your passion really of any value addition to the world around you? And can it take you towards a reasonable degree of financial independence also? If we don't consider these things, because ultimately when we talk about following our passion, we want to be able to live on our own terms. And if passion doesn't make our ends meet, it doesn't make sense. So we need to follow our passion, but at the same time, there is some Japanese word called ikigai. And in this ikigai, we should consider what is our passion, what is the need of the world, what can bring money to us, and what we love to do. All these things have to go together. That is what I feel. Passion alone is not enough.
Yeah, very true. We have to be practical as well.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I've heard of that ikigai before. I have not read the book, but I've heard of it.
Yes. It's a simple Venn diagram of 4 cycles.
Anita, do you have any other questions before we open it up to the audience?
Just one thing I was wondering, how is there any way you have adopted to turn stressful experiences into positive outcomes?
Good.
Yeah, there were a lot of stressful experiences. There were times when I was broke. There were times when I was financially bankrupt. And there was a time when I was thrown out of an establishment that I had founded. But at those times, as I said, transparency and accountability, I mentioned 2 things. Out of this, the second one, the accountability, that is what drove me towards overcoming whatever I was going through. I mean, at that time, I was mindful. I mean, during those times, during such bad patches, there was one thing at the top of my mind. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I have a family to feed. And there is an obligation. This obligation was the source of all motivation to go through it and try to bounce back again. There is, I don't think there is anything else that helped me to. But there was a book which I read in my college years. I think that was one of the biggest things that happened to me. I am okay, you are okay. That was a book by Thomas Harris, which gives a tool called transactional analysis or gestalt therapy. I found it very useful, and I think in all those bad patches, that was one of the sources
Yes.
which I looked up to
Yeah.
overcome.
Wow. That is a good book. It
Yes.
definitely.
I've heard of that
Yeah.
book also, yes.
Yeah.
What about your goals for the future? I always believe that you're never too old to dream a new dream or set a new goal. Where do you hope to be in the few years to come, especially with school crop, but also with you personally?
I mean, yes. I mean, I don't have a goal as such. As time passes, I feel more and more like I'm a traveler and I'm here on an assignment, and my time is brief, my relevance is limited. So during the time I'm here, I must keep running relentlessly as much as possible. And during this run, how much can be accomplished, whatever, that is fine. I mean, I don't exactly have a benchmark. This is where I should be, but within my capacity, I mean, if my resources help 10 students or 15 students or 100 students, I think that's a good job I have done. I don't have a prescribed quantum of accomplishment in mind.
Are you marketing your resources?
Of course, yeah. That means right now we are in bootstrap stage and we are doing it as a pilot. But in the next 3 years, within 3 years, I hope to become, I hope this venture becomes profitable and there will be decent revenues flowing in.
Oh, that is inspiring, and well, and because I'm always thinking of teachers, and the fact that you're especially trying to find more resources to really to help them to be more interactive with their students. That's
Yes,
how
yes.
students learn, through interaction. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
because I have what I have noticed is a student comes at 9 o'clock in the morning to the school, and he is in the school, he is in the classroom up to 4 p.m. And these 7 hours or 8 hours when he is here, most of the time he is listening. Once again, I'm talking about the schools I have seen. There is, that means the student is always a passive audience. He is not he doesn't take the lead in the classroom. And
Right.
as far as I know, in B.Ed, M.Ed, and this educational courses, degrees in B.Ed and M.Ed, they say teacher should be a facilitator, but that is not how it happens. One by one, a number of people come and give their lecture and go back, and the student remains just a passive listener all the time. This is one of the reasons I think some resources are required to create and encourage and accelerate interaction between teacher and student.
And maybe the more resources we have for teachers, the more they'll decide that teaching isn't just the last choice, but it could be the first choice.
Yeah, but many of them, they are in teaching because they were forced to be into it. So these things will at least make them do a little better. That is what I hope.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'd like to open it up to our audience here to ask a few questions. They can either raise their hand or unmute or put something in the chat. We would love to have your questions for Ramakrishna, sir. Anyone have a question? So I always teach in my English for employability class, when the interviewer says, "Do you have any questions?" they should never say no. But Ankita, do you have a question? I noticed that you put something in the chat about this idea of confusion. Do you want to expand on that? Do you want to ask a question?
Yeah, in short, I see some questions in chat.
Go ahead, Ankita.
Uh,
Can you
I have
unmute
some-
yourself?
yeah. Ankita Tripathi.
There you go.
Okay. So I have,
Oh.
yeah.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
This is Ankita Tripathi. Okay, sir. Sir, like nowadays we have so many courses on this area, like a teaching. So we should to need first of all take the like a B.Ed, complete first our graduation, then B.Ed, M.Ed, and like that so on. And there is after that we should to need like a TET, Super TET, and TGT and PGT. So many courses are there. So I am confused after doing like a B.Ed. What should I will like a person. After that, I will be the teacher.
See, the first thing you need to understand is you need a B.Ed. I mean, in India, you need to have a B.Ed only if you want to teach at school level. Okay. Suppose you want to be a lecturer in a college. If you have a master's degree, that's enough. Or if you want to be a professor at university, if you have a doctorate, that's enough. You don't have to do so many things. Okay, there are many other exams. There is an exam called TKT by Cambridge, which is also a teaching qualification. But you can select any one of them. You don't need to do all of them. You understand that?
Yes,
B.Ed,
sir.
B.Ed and M.Ed, they are mandatory only at school level, not at all levels. So,
Are you having
can-
trouble deciding which one to take? Is that it, Ankita? Are you having trouble deciding which one?
Yes, sir, exactly, sir. Like
Hmm.
first, I decide to first I will complete my B.Ed. Then, like I am not sure that if I will achieve or not. Then I need to need like I will go this one or this one. So I will give this exam of seated, then you UPTED. Then I think that super TET it's a better thing.
Okay. Have you already even, so you say you want to become a teacher.
Yes, exactly.
Have you already started teaching?
No, sir. Actually, when I was in a 12th, then I have to like teach in a English medium school of the PSC, like FNP school. So after that, I like that like after meeting the children, how they are innocent, and it seems like I am also on that age. I am again come on that age. So I like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Yes,
See, you start teaching as a part-time activity. Since you say you have an interest in teaching, start doing it. Not for money, not for remuneration necessarily, not as a full-time job. Like a part-time activity, you start doing it. And as you do it, all your questions will melt automatically. Okay. You will find answers to all your questions as you start doing it. I mean, you cannot sit outside water and keep wondering how to swim. Jump into it, all the questions are resolved. Okay.
I guess that's part of what you were saying about self-discovery. That's how you discover
Yes.
what
yes,
you're good
yes.
at, what you
Yeah.
really like, what gives you
Yes, yes.
passion by trying different things.
Now
Yeah.
I have a doubt.
Yes, go ahead.
So my doubt is related to her only. Actually, sir, I want to pursue, like I want to be a political science lecturer at degree college. So as per the new education policy, the 4-year plan, I'm a little confused in that. For I am thinking to take right now I'm pursuing BA in ELL, economics
Okay.
and political science.
Okay. Okay.
And I want to be a lecturer in political science. So in our college, there is an option like we can continue the 4-year course, and we'll
Okay.
get post graduation MA. We can do it here. Then
Yeah.
again, I have to take I have to again do PhD in political science. Then again, I have to do for post graduation. I have to go for that.
See, you can be an assistant professor if you have a master's in political science immediately.
Okay. Huh.
As soon as you have a master's degree, you can become an assistant professor anywhere. Where are you based? In which place? Are you in India?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in India, if you have a master's degree, you can immediately become an assistant professor. And as you improve your qualification,
Yes, sir.
you will become an associate and you will finally be a professor when you have a doctorate. But a simple master's degree is enough for you to start your career in whatever line you mentioned.
So I really directly I want to be a professor for degree level because I hate kids, like small kids I can't handle. So I just need
Not sm-
teenagers
not
or like
not small kids. See, even in engineering courses, there is environment and economics subjects. These subjects are there. Okay, and
yes.
anywhere, even in a degree college, okay, to teach students, you don't have to teach kids. If you have a master's, you can teach in a degree college. It is
Okay, sir.
possible. Yeah. So, and but if you want to become a professor directly, you need to finish your PhD first. So you'll be 30 years old when you start your career. And I think that is not the right way to plan.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think that that's such good advice, because you can, even in America, you can do quite a bit with a master's, and then you can be
Yes,
sure of what you want to
yes.
do before you just wait and get all of this education and then start your
Yeah.
career. Yeah, yeah.
And when it
Okay.
comes to one of my regrets, I also need to mention this, though it sounds kiddish. Like at one point of time, because I am an English teacher in schools here, and I was also a Cambridge assessor, I tried an affectation, a silly affectation, like trying to speak like a Britisher or an American. And very soon I found out I was making a fool of myself. So again, I thought I should be my real self. So this mother tongue influence is inevitable in the kind of environment I spent my years. So I thought it is okay.
Good advice. Good advice. We have time for one more question. Anyone?
We have 18 participants, so great.
Okay. All right. Well, we won't keep you any longer then. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege to have you with us today, sir. And
it was actually my privilege, because I don't know what made me do that. One morning, see, I live away from my daughter. She is in Visakhapatnam. I am in Hyderabad. So I am 700 kilometers away from her. I see her only once in a quarter. So one day she told me about you, and you were leaving on that day. And immediately I felt that impulse to thank you, because she never told me so much about any teacher. So I dropped a message, and so I'm here. So really, life is a strange thing, how new open avenues get introduced to us uh, completely, which were never anticipated, and how such things happen. It's a strange and wonderful thing.
that's right. Thank you. And how is your daughter doing in college?
Yeah, she is fine now. She is warming up for the board exams, which are in April, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, great. Thank you all for coming today. I'm going to ask my English for Employability class if there's any there's the students who are from that class to stay on, and the rest of us will bid farewell. And again, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Anita.
Do you want to take a picture, Vicky?
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. Yes, I forget. So let me put it on gallery view. If you all could turn on your videos for just a moment. Joycena, Mercy, Sneha, Sweta, could we have a few more pictures? All right. I want to take one with the names on them. Okay, one more time. Oh, I don't have my, hold on, I don't have my mouse here. It's easier to do it with. All right, so I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, and 3. Thank you. I'll send you that as a souvenir, Ramakrishna, sir. And thank you all for coming. Tomorrow is grammar brush-ups. If anybody has any grammar questions, please join me tomorrow. I will try to answer them. And so I'll stay on. The rest of you can go, and I'll talk to my class students. They have a deadline today, so I need to remind them about that. All right, bye,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Bye.
sir. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Ankita.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Okay. So let's, today was the, so everybody go ahead and put your name and number in the chat, please, while I pull up the Google Classroom. Whoops. Oh, I was still